Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. I had to jump on because we've got a really crazy situation going on in the UK at the moment. And for anyone that doesn't live in the UK, I'm sure you've probably seen, it's probably been on the news that we have a lot of protesting and rioting going on. And I just wanted to jump on and share my opinion. It's just my opinion. I feel we always have to give this caveat these days. And I would also just like to start with the caveat that obviously goes without saying that I completely disagree with violence and basically attacking one another. We end up attacking one another. We start making it about things that it's not. You know, there's a lot of racial stuff come into it, which is obviously just completely out of order. And it's really kind of bringing out a lot of people's worst sides. We need to look at, you know, who is responsible. And in my opinion, it's our leader, Keir Starmer. Obviously, you know, as much as I would like to see him, as much as I would like to see him pushed out, you know, I don't know if that's really going to achieve anything, because then we're just going to have somebody else get in his place and they'll probably just be as bad or worse. And I think what we are really seeing is people just being fed up and finally realizing they can't vote their way into getting what they want. Because when you actually look at what the UK has wanted when they have voted, it is to reduce immigration, illegal immigration and asylum. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't, but it doesn't matter, because the democracy of the UK has collectively decided that, because ever since Brexit, they've been voting that way. And they have not been heard, they have not been listened to. And this is why somebody like Starmer is so dangerous, in my personal opinion, because what he's come in is, rather than try and fix this issue, he's throwing gasoline on a fire. Because what happened was, I don't believe this actually started with the stabbings. I believe that this started because we had an attack in Manchester Airport where there was I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. This is from me just going by the news and what I see on social media, so if I'm wrong, please correct me. But there was a group of people that I believe were Muslims, and the lady was asked, I believe, to take off her hijab for security reasons by airport police. And then what happened was, her children, I believe they are, started attacking and kicking policemen. One of the women got a broken nose. And then there was an incident where they said that the police officer shouldn't have put his foot on, but in the airport, they can't use their hands. That is something where that policeman also needs to go to court, and they need to get to the bottom of whether his actions were wrong or right. I don't really know all the rules about the police, so that is a case that needs to be looked at. But what seems to have happened is these people seem to have walked away scot-free, and there was nothing in the papers about them being charged and talking about what was going to happen to them. There was nothing really even calling them out. Instead, they kind of made them into victims. And I think this just really just angered a lot of British people. Irrelevant. This has got nothing to do with race or ethnicity, but it just angered people that they feel that the police are looking out for certain people's needs and they're not looking out for the needs of the whole country. So in my opinion, this is where all this kind of started from. And then what happened was you got protests. And the thing is, most people that go to protests, they just want to be heard. They just want to have their voice heard, and they want to put forward an opinion and be heard. And when a protest is peaceful, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, protests attract a lot of violent people. You know, there's a whole mix of people that go to protests. You've got a bunch of people that peacefully want to make their voice heard. Then you've got a few real extremists, and don't get me wrong, I've watched some of the footage and there are some people saying some absolutely horrendous things. You've got people being very racist and just completely uncalled for and violent. And then you've also got basically defense groups walking around carrying samurais in front of the police and nobody caring. So we've just got this complete breakdown. And then our leader, Keir Starmer, has just made things a million times worse, because rather than, in my opinion, he could have just put this, or he could have looked, the way is to look for unity, and he could have tried to unify the people, but instead he just actually caused more division and more problems, because he went for a photo opportunity to the to lay some wreaths for the children that had been stabbed, and people heckled him, right? Because they were angry, they were upset. These were their kids, or they had kids. And rather than look those people in the eye and say, I am really, really, really sorry, I am going to sort this out if it's the last thing I do, do you know what he did? He just didn't look at them, and he just got his photos and he walked away. And that was his first massive show that he doesn't really care about your average person. And then what happened was, the people that went to the first protest, he came, and rather than, he could have just come on and he could have said, hey guys, not hey guys, but you know what I mean. I know that you're upset. I know that you have been trying to vote in change for the last kind of 17 years and you've not seen any change, and I hear you. And this is where I think this is relevant to bring to this channel as well, because this is how you connect with people. And I'm not very good at this, but then I'm not the leader of a country, is you have to show that you've heard people, that you've heard everybody. I hear you. I want to change things for you. I'm here to change things. I've only been in a few weeks. Let me do this, you know, just hold back. Stop attacking, and instead he's come with a very hard-hitting authoritarian approach of, you're all right-wing thugs. Anyone that is out here protesting, it doesn't matter whether you're being peaceful, he hasn't differentiated, you're all right-wing thugs. And he's just labelled and attacked a massive section of society who is probably the silent majority, and told them that they're right-wing thugs, even if they're not being in any way violent. And this is just literally throwing gasoline on the fire, and it's just kind of going crazy here. I haven't seen it myself. I've obviously just seen it. And then also at these things, you've got to remember that we're being stoked up. We're being stoked up to hate one another. Because to hate anybody that has a different opinion to you. You know, this is how we actually rise above this. We start working together and we stop attacking one another. You know, we work together as a team, and we are willing to listen and hear other people's opinions without being violent, whether it's violent through words or violent through actions. You know, if we could start actually hearing one another out without jumping to aggressiveness and defensiveness, the world would be a completely different place. And the problem that we have at the moment is we have a leader that's not assisting that in any way. He's not even encouraging that. He's encouraging division and labels even more. He's kind of, it's mind-blowing to do that so publicly. And you have to remember as well that a lot of these protests, in my opinion, are infiltrated. People always say, oh, wild conspiracy theories. And you know what? Often 5-minute search on Google would let you know that they're not entirely conspiracy theories, because if you know, whenever you say cloning is some far out crazy thing, you only have to just Google Clonade. Or if you're saying that no one ever kind of ramps up the energy at protests and riots. I can't remember the name of it now. I think it's Crowd. There is a website. If you just Google it, you'll find it. It's Crowd something. And basically, you can pay for your business or your political idea. You can pay a massive bunch of people to turn up and protest it to get your way on things. So these things are perfectly accessible in the public space, to just have a little Google and see that it's very easy for somebody with some money to ramp up a protest and to make it look bigger than it is, or to make it look a certain way. And I don't know, if you really look at the footage, you definitely can see there's some weird behaviour sometimes, where there's certain people in black balaclavas and all black. It almost, you know, looks like a uniform in a way. And the police never seem to bother them, and they seem to run in and do the worst things and then run out. And, you know, I'm not saying anything. I'm just offering an observation. But anyway, this is, in my opinion, what's going on in the UK. And what we actually need is, we need to, all of us, stop being ramped up into this aggression and hatred for one another. You can have an opinion. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion on anything. There's nothing wrong with having an opinion on what you want to do with immigration in your country and how you want to handle illegal immigration and asylum seeking. But this should be a calm debate And if it's the majority decision, then people need to feel that they've been heard. And this is most of what the problem's going on here is nobody feels like they're being heard, and nobody is listening to anybody anymore. It's just become this massive divisive attack on people that think differently to one another. And if you zoom out, this is just happening all around the world, or certainly the Western world, where we have just descended into a chaos of, if you don't agree with somebody, then you just attack them, be it with words or physicality, and you shut them down with labels, you know, and there's this whole list of labels. And you basically try to deny people their voice. They feel unheard, they bubble up, and they bubble over with rage and anger because they're just not being heard. And then you end up with situations like this. The world needs a big dose of learning to look at who is the source of the problem. You know, you fighting your neighbor isn't gonna really result in any change. You know, it's the people that are ruling our country. They're the ones that hold the strings, and they're the ones we need to go to, and they're the ones that we need to make our voice heard from. And I do agree with protesting. You know, we have a legal right in this country to protest, and I feel that they're now trying to say you can't protest on this on this opinion, and I obviously am completely against that. We have a legal right to gather and to protest. Once that turns violent, obviously that's not right, and once it turns really hateful, that's also not right as well, you know, and personal. Like, it doesn't have to become personal. Stay on topic, you know. This is what I want to achieve from this protest. And we don't have to get personal, and we don't have to personally attack people over, you know, wanting to democratically go forwards with a way of living. But I do think we need to be really aware at the moment that that this is very divisive, and if we start dividing, then we're in big problems. And we need to stay as a unit, and we need to stay able to communicate difficult topics without attacking and personally, like, giving personal insults to people, because that's not going to get anybody anywhere, and you're never going to be heard doing that. And yeah, in my opinion, that's what's going on in the UK at the moment, and I do think it's going to get worse. I don't, you know, want to say that. I obviously hope it doesn't, but I guess whatever happens in the broad scheme of things is meant to happen. And I do think it's going to get worse. I think there's something astrologically at the moment. An astrologer did tell me it's to do with Pluto. There's something astrologically, I can feel it intuitively, that a lot of stuff and anger is just bubbling to the surface. And, you know, sometimes it does need to come out. What is repressed and just sitting there, at some point it's going to come out, right? At some point, if you're repressing a load of stuff, then eventually it's going to come out. So it feels like it's coming out en masse. It just feels like everyone is very angry right now, even if it's not over these things, it's over sports, or there's a lot going on with the Olympics. I just feel there's a lot of anger bubbling to the surface right now, and I do feel like it's something shifting. And, you know, once it's out, then hopefully we can come back to a more peaceful state, and people will have learnt from this experience. We can only hope. But anyway, I just thought I'd jump on. I know I've got people on here that are from America, and maybe, you know, they don't really know what's going on. Who knows how it's being reported to you guys? But in our news, it's reported as anybody that, basically anybody that's out there protesting at the moment is a far-right hooligan. And that's just simply not true, in my opinion. There's lots of people that are out there protesting that just simply feel like they've been trying to vote for reduction in immigration and asylum seekers coming into the UK for a long time now, for probably over 16, 17 years since Brexit, and they've not been listened to, and it's kind of the straw that's broke the camel's back. And then, yes, you do have some far-right kind of, you know, hooligans using it as an excuse to go out there and be violent. And then you also probably have some, like I said, you have some paid people probably there as well. And then you also just have people that just protest at anything. You know, there's those people in there too, like any protest, they're there because they just enjoy protesting. We really do have those people. You know, I'm sure we have them in every country where you see them at every single protest because I guess they get some kind of thrill from it in some way. And that makes their life exciting. So you've got a whole range of people at this protest, and I think that's where we're getting even more anger added to this situation, because rather than that be expressed, you know, I understand that not everybody here, you know, some of you just want to be heard, you're being peaceful, and there are these small bands of violent people that are really hurling some abusive things at people. Rather than talking about it like that, it's sort of everyone's been clumped into one label of far right, and it's annoying a lot of people and it's creating a lot of chaos in this country. And like I said, I do think that it's possibly going to get worse before it gets better. But anyway, I hope everybody is well, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye bye.